And we're live.
Okay, so it says we're live. Welcome to hopefully what is Wingnuts RC Hangout.
Yeah, for the second time. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, second time in one day. Okay, so the we have a couple bullet points to discuss, and the first one's going to be the Wingnuts site. Um, we've been working to get the website up so that people have a place to hang out and discuss RC, flying wings, that kind of stuff, share information, learn. And so basically, uh, Adam is running the Wingnuts site, the forum, and everything. So he's giving me orders, my marching orders, and I'm trying to get it how he likes it, so that everybody can use it up. And I'm going to let Adam, if you can tell everybody, uh, basically the bullet points about the site.
Okay, so pretty much we have the form on. We just opened the form up to you guys actually early. It's not complete yet. I mean, most of the site is still a work in progress, but we thought we'd open up the form to you guys, let some content build, and then even you guys could help us say what you want, what you don't want, and we can help polish the site up to something that's very usable. The whole site, the way what we want it to kind of turn into is more of a community and also a tool itself for your building. So a one-stop place to for information, tools, calculators like CG calculators, all that kind of stuff. Instead of searching all over the internet and trying to find that stuff, we're just gonna put it there in an easy to digest, easy to find fashion for you guys for to really take full advantage of what other people know and what we know and what you guys know and a nice place to put that up and kind of archive all that information.
Okay, so we've got the forum is up now, and we're going to put a CG calculator on the website. Um, that will be sometime this week. It'll be a basic CG calculator. There is one online that's pretty in depth, and we'll put a link to that in the description here, so you can use that. That's personally, I use that CG calculator every time I build a plane, even if I build the same plane twice.
Yeah.
I tend to go through and use that CG calculator to verify the CG. We will include a basic CG calculator that will show you the CG measurement from the leading edge of the plane. We'll have that going sometime this week, probably towards the end of the week. Another thing that Adam has worked out is the lift calculator, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the lift calculator will be on the website coming soon. Uh, I have to see pretty much how difficult the math is that he's done up, and I have to get it to where they can be used on the website. It shouldn't be a problem though. We'll get that up. That way you have a central location. You don't have to leave the Wingnut site to learn, how to build a wing, and you also have the tools that you need to build a wing, that kind of thing. So that's the overall goal. Um, so that's going to be the tools. Am I missing any tools as of right now,
No,
Adam?
I think that's it for the tools. The next is we're going to have kind of two separate galleries on the site when it comes to photos and videos and that kind of things. On the main site, we're going to have a gallery that's strictly polished photos and videos. I mean, not like you go to an event and take 8,000 photos and put them all up in one place. This on the site's gallery, that is all going to be the really nice polished, your top of the top best photos. We're also going to have a separate section in the forum, and that is where you can mass post all your, say if you're at Joe Knoll this weekend and you take 1,000 pictures. Most of us would love to see those 1,000 pictures. The gallery on the site's not going to be the place for that, but the gallery on the forum is for those mass photos. Same for your videos, for mass videos. Unpolished videos will go on the forum, and then your polished, edited works of art, your masterpieces will go onto the site. The site's we're gonna be having the picture of the day using the pictures that are in the gallery. So that's why we're gonna be wanting the polished photos on the site gallery instead of on the forum gallery, if that makes sense. As things start to roll, you'll understand what we mean by that. You'll see by the quality of photos and what kind of photos we're posting.
I see photos on Instagram too that I think would fit that category. Some of these people's aerial photos and stuff like that. Like the one, and man, I can't remember the user, but I'll have to make it up to him. I have it on my desktop in my office, where he had an easy start flying into a storm and he caught a lightning bolt. It's an amazing picture. So stuff like that is for the finished gallery, right?
Exactly. Not things like you're building your wing and you have your set of build pictures, or it's half a wing and some drawings, and all those will be set onto the forum gallery if you choose to go there or choose to post in the build log or whatever form you choose to. That's where those photos are going to go rather than in the site gallery, which, like you say, will be the very polished and edited or beautiful type of photos. The next thing on the site is the point system. We have a point system on the forum, and basically it's bonus points for you guys. It's giving back for your contribution, and depending on how much of a user you are and what kind of content you're putting out, you'll be awarded points. Different things are worth different points. You get points for even just posting, you get points for doing reviews, helping other users, you're rewarded points, and the points can be used to buy different things on the site. Not physical product yet per se, but you can buy banner space where, say, if you have a forum that you wanted to, or a forum topic that you wanted to boost the hits on, you can post that forum topic on a banner for a certain amount of days for a certain amount of points. You can buy different caricatures for your name, so you can highlight your name and really pimp out your profile with those points. There's a few different other things, such as you can pin topics of your choice depending on your points. We're going to see how that one works. Depending on what people are choosing to pin. If topics that aren't really important topics are getting pinned, we might remove that. But if people are using it, doing their due diligence and posting good topics, we'll probably leave that. I do think that there's a few other point awards that I'm leaving out, but
there is a point store page, isn't there?
There's a point store page where you can go and see what's there. There's a few extra things on there that we might take off, depending on what we think you guys will want, kind of a deal. So it's basically we're in the feel it out kind of stage right now with everything, and we're gonna kind of see how the site flows and what the natural flow of things are, and we'll probably adjust to that.
Okay, cool. And then the download section. Go.
The downloads, yeah. So we will have a download section and an download and upload section for you guys. Basically, if you have a set of plans that you want to share to people in PDF or so, you can upload your plans there. PID configurations for whatever you're running. Say if you are a guy that writes code and you've written a new firmware for let's say an OSD, you can put the updated file on the site. We have we'll have different sections for that kind of things. We'll be posting plans on the site. You guys will be posting plans on the site. It will all be free to members. To be a member will be free, but we just want you guys to log in and make an account, just so we're not getting spam. We can kind of control what's being uploaded and what's using our server space.
Pretty much anything that you feel would be helpful to somebody else is what we want uploaded.
Exactly. Whether it's a photo diagram of some component, and whether it's a full-blown set of plans, to 3D printed files, STL files, we'll have the space in the room and the category for it all.
Good point. Okay, cool. So another thing recently we started kind of hinting at some designs that Adam and I had planned on making into T-shirts from the beginning, and also maybe some stickers or decals, as Adam calls them. And so, eh? And so we absolutely want to do that. We absolutely want to get those designs out there so that you can wear them. And we've sort of run into a hitch. The Bob Marley shirt that everybody loves so much, that one right there. Basically, the manufacturer of the shirts.
That one above you.
Yeah. The manufacturer of the shirts has a pretty strict policy. They don't recreate caricatures, line drawings, photos of musical talent or people in the music industry, and so they have declined that design and they won't do it. So so far, the rest of the designs seem like they're going fine. So those will be available really soon. We have to figure out what to do about the Marley shirt. I personally want one, and I know a lot of people online said that they would want one as well. We may have to source that one elsewhere, and it may be like a special edition kind of thing. I don't know. The main thing is we want it to be quality. We want it to be affordable, and not a pain in the butt to get. So as soon as we figure that out, we'll let you know on the shirt. I would rather everything comes from the same place. And if that's the case, then the Bob Marley shirt wouldn't exist. And so that's the dilemma that we have right now, and we're trying to work on. But as soon as we can get a viable option for you, we'll definitely let you know. And we'll open that part of the website so that you can purchase the shirts. And I think that's it for the shirts. The Hangout.
Yes.
So the original idea was Adam and I talking, an audience, asking questions, some participation. So everybody's got to start somewhere. We've got some huge interest in the Hangout idea. We don't have a whole lot of people as of yet, and so as a starting point, Adam and I would like to. We're just going to do these and put them on the YouTube page for people to view later. We've talked about maybe as part of the point system for being cool on the forums and things like that, bringing in selected people as guests, people who have awesome questions, people who have awesome builds or something that they'd like to share that we think everybody else would like to see, having those people on as guests. We've also talked to other people in the industry, manufacturers. They're all on board with being guests. So we'll make it the best that we can. But Adam and I, we struggled yesterday for a while and pretty much came up with nothing to show for it. So today, hopefully we can overcome that, and then we can work towards getting this to be what we want it to be, which is an extremely social place where people can come and learn. So, but the second part of that is being able to go to YouTube and watch it on a Monday morning at work or wherever. That's going to be great too. Well, Adam and I will be watching the comments. If you have questions about something that we talked about in the video, leave your question there. We can answer it there. If it's a completely new question, we can talk about getting it into the next one, which, again, there's actually a section on the forum, right, Adam?
Yep.
Where people can post questions. That will be the #1 spot where these questions come from. So if you want your question answered, I really suggest becoming a member on the forum and getting it there.
Yeah.
So.
Another good side of that too is say if a lot of people they want a question answered that night, they want to ask a question, they want to know an answer, and they want to go out flying. They might not necessarily want to wait till the next podcast to hear it. And I mean, if you email us the question, we're likely going to put it on the podcast, but it might be a week, 2 weeks until you get an answer. If you put it on the forum, you're going to have people there that are going to answer you ASAP. Even if you go over it on the podcast or on the Hangout, most likely someone's probably already answered with a much better answer than what we could ever give you. So for that way, I say, yeah, it's probably better if you do post your questions on the forum, just because you'll probably get a lot more information. And not just that, once it's on the forum, it's archived. You can always go back to it. People can find it in the searches. And then you're not just helping yourself with asking that question. You're actually helping everyone else that will ever ask that same question. So yeah, I'd say, well, Shane?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I wanted to take a minute because my experience with forums in the past, and I just want to make this real short and sweet. We want this to be a nice, friendly hangout environment for all skill levels. So there's going to be noobs, there's going to be scientists, whatever. I mean, the whole gamut. And so you may be on the forum a lot. Somebody may have just joined. Somebody may ask a question that's been addressed on that forum a million times. And I've seen this on several forums where people just light the dude on fire, send him home crying, use the search, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I totally get that. But let me ask that if somebody's new, somebody asks a question, because I get asked the same questions over and over again daily. And I've talked to Adam, and I know he gets the same thing. And that's fine. That's cool, because everybody starts somewhere. So instead of the place that we want this to be is the place where the dude who asked the same question that 25 other people asked yesterday, when he asked that question, somebody helps that person out instead of flaming them and preaching about the search bar. He says, hey, I've seen that question before. Check out this thread. Check out that thread. You know what I mean? Help these people out. Okay, so that's it. I don't want to get I don't want to make it a forum etiquette video, but that's one of those. We want this to be a nice place where everybody feels welcome and not so cliquish like some of the other social media sites.
RCG.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So we don't want it to be that way.
Yeah.
What else with Hangouts? Is that it, Adam?
I think that was it with the Hangout. I know that this is our second attempt at our first Hangout.
Yep.
We got one yesterday and it didn't get launched. So sorry to everyone that we said we'd have the Hangout on Saturday. We did have the Hangout on Saturday, but it didn't get uploaded. So this is our second attempt at that. So
and you should probably be grateful for that, because it was like 2+ hours.
Yeah, no, we didn't have a timer, and it's just you start talking about this stuff and you can't stop. So today I have a timer set, and we're gonna try to keep it under an hour if we can.
Okay. So let's talk about first-time wing.
Yes. Some of the questions we were getting, a lot of guys that are seeing multi-rotor guys that are seeing wings for the first time. Especially, we've seen it's a trending thing right now. A lot of the multi-rotor guys coming over to the flying wings. Everyone. I mean, it's a different. Like I tell people, they say, "Oh, what's the what's the different? What's the difference?" And it's like the difference between skiing or snowboarding. I mean, you're doing the same thing, just in a different way. I find it keeps things fresh. You can go to the multi-rotor for a bit and fly proximity, and then you go to the wing and fly proximity, and it's two different. You're doing the same thing, but they're just so different, and they're both fun in their individual ways. So yeah, you see a lot of people coming over now, and we're getting asked questions. What are the best wings? What should I get for a wing? Should I get a wing? If I've never flown RC before, should I get a wing? All of these kind of questions. So we're going to touch on that a bit right now, and kind of let you guys know our opinion on on wings, I guess, for beginners. We're going to talk about two different types of beginners here. We're going to talk about the people that are completely fresh to the hobby, have never picked up a radio, have never flown on a simulator, fresh green pilots. And then we're going to talk about another group of people, which are the multi-rotor guys, the guys that have flown on simulators, the people that already can fly line of sight and have a sense of perspective when it comes to aircraft line of sight. So Shane, I guess if you want to kick off for the green pilots.
Absolutely. So you haven't flown anything, right? And you see these flying wings, and they're the most awesome thing ever. And that's all you want to fly. That's where I come from. And I wanted to fly wings so badly that I was building and crashing 4 or 5 of them a weekend. And as some of you know on Instagram, I was numbering them at one point. I think I started numbering them at 13 because 13 is my favorite number, but I think I had actually built more like 30 when I started numbering them 13. So the wings as a first aircraft, I personally, if you've never flown anything, I say no. I say don't do it. I say get your feet wet with something a little bit slower, a little bit easier to tell your help me, Adam.
Orientation.
Orientation. Thank you. Okay. Something that's a little bit easier to tell. You know, a flying wing looks real similar, right? Coming, going, forwards, backwards. You know, I used to make a way different pattern on the bottom than the top, and you know, orientation is tough. So if you got something that's a little bit slower, a little bit easier to fly, a little bit more self-correcting, like a lot of the trainers, I think that's the best place to go. Once you've got some stick time, and I also suggest a simulator, and actually the one that I use is absolutely free, and it is called, minimize a bunch of stuff, and then say RC Desk Pilot, and it's completely free. They have people who have developed pretty much all of the flight test planes. I dare say all of them by now, including the fabulous FT Versa, which is everybody's favorite. And so you can go into the simulator and you can actually fly a Versa. And so what I did was get on there and fly this Versa and attempt spot landings. I turned the wind up to, you know, hurricane. You can change all the weather and stuff like that. Made it basically as hard as I could to fly it on the simulator. And to be honest, the next time I flew a plane in real life, it went a whole lot better. So get some stick time, get some simulator time, and don't be discouraged. If you're an easily discouraged person, the flying wing as a start is probably not for you. And that is just my opinion. I know there are people that have built an FT Versa and thrown the thing and flew it right out of the bat. You are a better pilot than me because that's not how it went for me. But you know, if you want to build one and throw it and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, that's cool too. Just don't get discouraged. You know, because there's a learning curve for sure. And that's my opinion on green, never flown RC pilots taking on a flying wing.
And we're not saying that flying wings are something that's hard to fly. Like, I don't even say they're an intermediate. Like, I still think that some flying wings are not a first plane, but definitely in the beginner category. The thing with the wing is they have such a large flight envelope. You can fly them really, really slow, but on the other side, you can also fly them really, really fast. So if you're a new pilot that, you know, you don't have the reaction time, you don't have you really don't know your orientation, and you can't really figure that out as fast as a seasoned pilot, when you get into that high-speed envelope, you're going to have problems compared to a plane that kind of acts as a limiter on the speed that you can fly at, the agility you have. That's why we say it would probably be, it's still a beginner aircraft, some of them, but it's also probably a second or third aircraft. Once you know about throttle control, you know about your what controls do what, and like we said, perspective, orientation. I know the Flying Model magazine used to have an article called "The Merry Modeler's Mindset," which was all about learning perspective and thinking about your motions before you do them. So definitely understand that before getting a wing. But
there's a flight test video, and I can't remember which one it is, where Josh Scott talks about an airplane when it's coming towards him. And I know that helped me out a lot. You basically point the stick at the lower wing. So if you're in a left bank coming at you and you want to level out, you point the aileron at the lower wing, right? It's in that video, and it's super helpful for flying at you. Of course, when
eventually it just becomes
flying away from you,
muscle memory.
Is normal. What's that?
Eventually it just becomes muscle memory, but it definitely to have a plane for the first few steps of that, where say you do make a mistake and you're turning right and you want to turn left and by mistake you give it more right, having something where you can take your hands off, it levels out, and it gives you a second to stop, take your breath, think about it, and correct. A wing, you don't get that. A wing, you'll roll it into the ground, which I've seen tons of people do.
Yep.
So that's why we say it's definitely not a green pilot's first plane, but it's a strong second or third, definitely.
Absolutely. And then if you come from multi-rotors, which I actually did come from multi-rotors, but I was dumb and thought that I've been flying multi-rotors for years, and so I'm gonna fly this flying wing and no problem. That's not the way it worked out for me, but there's a lot of people that are coming to the dark side that realize how awesome wings are, and Sharpu, they're flying proximity with wings and everything, and basically just taking that remote and punching in another program and flying a wing right off the bat, and that's great. I definitely think there are a lot of people that are capable of doing that. So in that case, you've been flying a multi-rotor. You can fly that multi-rotor on manual mode. If you can fly that multi-rotor line of sight, is a huge help, because orientation on any multi-rotor is difficult, line of sight. So if you're a seasoned pilot with a multi-rotor and you want to pick up a wing, absolutely. Still know what you're going to be dealing with, but you're probably going to have a pretty good experience. I see it every day with multi-rotor pilots picking up wings and just flying them. So, what do you got?
That was my opinion. Same thing.
I'm sorry, dude.
That's it.
Yeah, no, talk or anything,
I have a lot of friends that saw the wing and they thought it was awesome, and 2 days later they came with the home-built wing that they put together, and they might crash it in the first or second toss, and within that hour they're ripping around, no problem. I mean, it's definitely an orientation thing. Wings, they want to fly. I mean, they inherently want to fly. So it's not tuning. There's no programming. I mean, a little bit of trimming, a little bit of white knuckles, and for the most part they pick it up in probably about 2 or 3 crashes. So I definitely think if you fly multi-rotors and you don't have a wing, what are you doing?
You need one.
What are you doing? Yeah. Don't be one of those guys.
We are not advocating wings versus multi-rotors arguments. Adam flies multi-rotors. I have a Skunkworks multi-rotor hanging on my wall, so we obviously love them. But my personal favorite is flying wing, and so but again, no hate. The main thing is, do you have a radio in your hand? Hopefully you got some goggles on of some sort, and you're in the sky. That's all that matters to me. I will fly with you no matter what. So.
You're recording. And you're recording something.
Yeah, yeah.
Because no
Because
pics,
no video
no
and it
pics,
didn't
no
happen.
proof. Yeah, no pics, no proof.
Oh man, I crashed the plane in the water, and it doesn't
Never
matter.
happened.
Video. Okay,
But that
so
one, yeah.
yeah,
You
I
say that
can't.
one time,
I
the
can't.
one time you're flying better than Charpu, and you put it in the
Yeah,
water.
right, right, dude. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. Heather was wearing the passenger goggles, and she was like, "Oh man, this is awesome. This looks great." But again, I can't play her memories back on the computer for you. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. So when should you get a wing? That's what we were talking about before
Yeah.
we started this. And when should you get a wing? Like now is fine. Tomorrow, you should get one.
Within the week. As long as it's within the week.
Yeah, depending on your skill level, is gonna determine how soon you're doing anything with that wing.
But yeah,
But
you
you
should
should,
have
you
one.
should definitely own at least one to seven wings
Even
now.
if you
Or
don't fly, if you don't fly RC, you should just have one in your house.
they look awesome on the wall. Like any of your dude friends that come over and see them on the wall, sold. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, even my wife, when the first time she saw a flying wing, she was like, and don't hate her for this, but she was like, that is so much cooler than your quadcopter. You know,
Yeah.
and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get one. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's the best time to get a wing. Okay, so you have a wing. The most important thing with a wing is Adam,
DG.
PG.
Center of
If
gravity.
you if you don't have your center of gravity sorted out, your new wing that you bought, built, stole, whatever, is not going to fly. Um, and so I know for me personally, when I started building wings, I thought that I was balancing them out, and it wasn't until I actually built a jig.
Dun, dun.
I built this jig using two stolen pencils and a block of wood. Okay, and I
Also,
built this jig. Yeah, I built this jig, and I balanced a plane on it, right, so that the plane sat on the CG marks and it sat there level for a couple seconds on its own. That plane flew first time, flew great. That was the starting point for me. That was when everything started to go right. Okay. Then I realized how important the CG was, and the more experience you get, the more you'll start to understand it, and the more you can manipulate it and things like that. But the main point is that if you don't have your center of gravity really close, you're not going to have a good experience.
yeah.
Adam, hit us with some of the science, and then I'm going to show people how I balance a plane.
Yeah. Well, there's not much to it. You want it to be balanced. There's the deal is a tail heavy plane. It's not gonna want to fly. What you're doing is you're balancing the aircraft's center of gravity around something called the center of lift, or the center of vertical pressure on the wing. So when you plug in all the numbers and you build your airfoil, there's one part of that wing where the mean of all the forces are going to kind of equal out, and that one point is where all the upwards lifting force on that wing is going to be felt on. You want to have your center of gravity of your aircraft, so it's the center of all the weight, slightly forward of that center of lift, and that's going to allow that wing to balance on that lift column and stay straight and stay true in the air. If it's too nose heavy, what's happened is when you slow down and you start to come into land or on takeoff, there's so much nose weight that your elevators have to compensate for that nose weight. Eventually, at a slow enough speed, you're going to lose the efficiency of your elevators, and you're basically going to run out of elevators, what they say, and you'll nose it in the ground. The opposite of that, being too tail heavy, is you crash. It doesn't fly. It won't fly. They do not like to be tail heavy. It causes the wing to go into a high angle of attack. You get tip stalls. You get separation of the boundary layer of the leading edge of the wing. You lose all the lift. You have no control in your ailerons and your elevator. You get, if it does fly, you have some really bad porpoising action with the wing, pitching and pulling. It does not go good.
To me, it reminds me
No
of when I was a kid. I remember like trying to fly a kite, and you let go of the kite, and it kind of does this crap right here, and then does this like spiral, and then smashes into the ground. That's what a tail heavy plane looks like. It really it doesn't look like anything that was meant to fly, and it doesn't, it does so many things wrong all at once, and to think that you're going to fly it is just, you're not. There's no way. And so what I was experiencing when I was first starting out with flying wings was I was putting so much weight on the nose of this plane that I just thought, there's no way this can be right. But the thing was, is it absolutely was right. But I just thought, I can't, I'm putting 9-volt batteries on the nose. I'm putting, what, like Adam said, he's used rocks before. I mean, whatever you got to do to get it done. But, I remember putting probably 8 9-volt batteries on the nose of a plane, and then it flew, and it flew great. So flying wings need the balance. Sometimes they need the weight. That's the reason why I started to cut the notches in my Versa wings to kind of scoot the motor forward. The less weight behind the CG. Say something, Adam, so that it switches to you.
Like that right there, getting that motor as close as you can, just to get all that forward.
Right. So then that's less weight that you're going to have to put on the nose of the plane, and it just makes a better flying plane. So the thing with balancing, I mean, there's a million videos about how to do it, and they're all pretty simple. But I'm going to take I'm going to give you my take on it. I balance my plane before every flight. I don't care if I flew the plane yesterday, it flew great, I put it in the car, I did nothing to it, and now I'm flying it again a day later. I still check the balance. Most of the time it's not necessary, but I still do it. Okay, this is my legit wing, and however it helps you to mark the CG, like on my scratch built wings, I actually poke a small hole in the bottom so that I can feel it when I have my hand underneath it, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? This plane, the bumpers end, they meet the bottom of the wing at the CG, okay? So if you have your plane balanced, you should be able to stick it on your fingers like this, okay? Like I just stick it on my middle fingers, and let go of it, and that plane should pretty much just sit there on your fingers, okay? That would be the perfect balance. If you're a beginner, you want it to kind of tip forward just a little bit. You don't want it to fall forward out of your fingers. If it falls forward, it's too nose heavy, okay? And yeah, you're probably going to have a fine experience. It's probably going to fly. But like Adam said, when you come in for a dead stick landing, you've got no throttle, which is how 99% of everybody lands, right? Chop the throttle, make your approach. You'll run out of elevator, and then now you've got this plane coming towards the ground, and you can't get the nose up, and so that's what will happen with too much nose weight. So you want it to just sit there on the fingers. If it falls backwards real slowly, and you're Sharpoo, you're probably going to be okay. If it falls backwards slowly and you're not an experienced pilot, you've got to put some more weight on the front of it to get it so that it at least balances or tilts forward.
And it will fly if it does tip back a bit. It will fly, but it's not like an experience. I know with the old, when I used to fly 3D planes, you'd bring the CG back and farther back, and it would make it for more stable. You get into high alpha and make it more stable in Harriers and that kind of thing. It would make it want to sit in Harriers. The problem with the flying wing is they're not meant to do 3D. they want to fly, and the problem is that you're not using the airfoil right when you have the CG back, and you get a really pitchy experience. What happens is the back of the plane, when you get enough airspeed, it finally breaks the force of gravity and starts to lift up, and as it lifts up really fast, and you make a movement to correct it, and you get into basically an oscillation, and it basically speeds up, and you get lift, and then when it slows down, the back sags, it speeds up, you get lift, slows down, back sags, and it's just an ongoing cycle where the plane pretty much just gets into the horrible oscillation.
So the only way to correct that is a horribly unnatural act that you're probably not going to pull off as an inexperienced pilot.
Yeah. Like tree landings,
yeah,
river landing, in roads. Yeah.
So you definitely you want it. If anything, you want it to favor tipping forward. Here in Texas, it's real windy in North Texas, anyways, and so I may get out of my car and the wind's blowing and everything, and I know that my best flight experience in high winds is going to be something that's a little bit heavier in the nose, and so I'll want it to kind of tip forward. Again, I don't want it to do a front somersault, cheerleader round off flip flop back. I don't want that because that's too nose heavy and that's going to cause problems. But a little bit of a tip forward, that's great. You're going to have a good time at that point. And I've balanced a lot of wings, and some of them take absurd amount of weight up front to balance out. I'm convinced that 90% of the people that first time build a Versa wing,
wide tail heavy.
Yeah, they're not balancing it right, because a blunt nose Versa takes like a school bus on the front of it to balance out.
I know. If you're not running a GoPro or anything, it takes two 2200s, and then some weight right up at the nose to balance out a blunt nose.
Some rocks and
rocks.
Somebody's wallet other than mine. So and this is what I do here. These are actually tire weights. A friend of mine works at an Audi dealership, and he gets me basically buckets of them, and I keep them in container labeled weights. And so if I'm nice to Heather, she goes through and sorts them out for me. And so I have these here for when I finish a build and I want to balance it out. I have these, and then I also keep a smaller package in my flight bag. Maybe one of the ballast weights that I had on my plane broke off in a hard landing, or it's windier than it was yesterday. Whatever, I can add weight, take it away, and that's something that you just kind of you get to understand how your plane flies best with what kind of weight up front and what kind of wind situations. Typically, though, the better pilot you get, the less you even really have to compensate. But a plane that just barely balances out in high winds is going to bounce. I don't care how good you are. Whereas if you set it up a tad bit nose heavy, it's going to be a lot better, smoother experience, at least for the camera.
Yeah. I mean, look at the slope soaring guys. You see the slope soaring wings, and slope soaring wings are incredibly nose heavy. I mean, they need to be just to help penetrate through the air. I mean, if those guys do it, they're doing it for a reason. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So the next thing that we always get asked is throwing, because it's definitely something for a new pilot, for any new pilot. Throwing a wing is unlike any other airplane. It's not like a normal football toss. It's not like you're taking it off from landing gear. Developing a technique. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it right, and there's just a few ways to get it wrong. It's usually not the best case either for the plane or for yourself. A lot of people, they'll build a wing, and you can build the wing perfect, have it all balanced out, and have it all trimmed out perfectly. And if your toss is off, it will crash right off the bat. And a lot of people get discouraged thinking the plane isn't flying properly or doesn't fly just because they have a poor throwing technique. If you're throwing by yourself, you'll probably crash a few times in your first few tosses before you actually get a good toss. If you could get someone to throw it for you, while both hands are on the controller for your first toss, just so you can get it in the air, you can trim out the plane, make sure it flies, that kind of a deal, and then you can learn to hand launch it yourself. I mean, me and Shane could talk for hours on how to launch, what to launch like, how we launch. There's so many ways. I mean, just Google search it. It's not something that you're going to learn from reading a book. It's something that you're going to learn from having hands-on experience. I mean, it's a muscle memory thing, and even when you get good at throwing wings, like even Shane said this before, it's 1 in 20 tosses you'll still get it wrong even if you're an experienced pilot. It's just one of those things that are a really temperamental beast to launch. But it's not difficult and it's not scary. That's for sure. It's just different.
And different planes like to be thrown different ways. I have a launch that I use, and I use it 98% of the time. And so some of my planes require just that toss. Some of them require that toss with some radio adjustment. Some of them require me to eat my Wheaties and chuck the damn thing. I mean, it really depends on the plane. So, we could tell you this is how you throw a plane, and I bet you that I would tell you something different than Adam would tell you. And so, what works for me may not work for you.
I know me and Shane throw completely backwards from each other, so even between us, each technique is it's an individual thing. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I mean, a lot of people can say, oh, the way you throw isn't safe, but if you've been safely throwing a wing that way for years, going to some other technique that you've never done before is a lot more dangerous than.
Well, and I've seen people too. I mean, you think about it. Your kid plays Little League baseball, and you grab your iPhone and you put it on slow mo, and you videotape the kid pitching or something like that. Have your friend videotape you in slow mo throwing your plane. If the prop comes near you, don't throw it like that again.
Yeah.
I mean, if your toss keeps you free and clear of the prop, you're probably okay.
And that's the only real rule is just don't stick your hand in the propeller.
Yeah, because an 8x4 APC style prop will do its best to remove your pinky finger. Trust me, because it's happened to me. So I mean, there's several different tosses. There's the wingtip, which is preferred by a lot of people. There's the sort of center of the wing-ish, and toss, which is my personal favorite.
That's what I do too, yeah.
Yeah, I like this one because I'm still free and clear from the prop, and I can really regulate my altitude, my attitude. I can really regulate the strength that I use to toss it. I don't feel that torque roll is such an issue when throwing from the center of the plane, because if you're holding the plane like this from the center and you're taking off at 3/4 throttle, don't take off at full throttle. 3/4 is good. That way you still have a little bit of throttle to play with once the plane leaves your hands. Half throttle is probably not good unless you're used to throwing that plane and it likes half throttle. But your first toss, 3/4 throttle, and then and figure it out. Like I said, this works real well for me. If I throttle the plane up 3/4 throttle and I feel it, rolling. Was it roll to the left, right, Adam? Like typically, torque roll.
I use so many backwards propellers that I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, sometimes I use multi-rotor props, and then I have.
Well, that's the thing. I end up switching the wires like every second propeller anyway.
Like this, if you're holding the plane from the forward center of the plane and you throttle it up and you feel it kind of twisting in your hand, you can correct for that. You can dip the wing towards the roll, into the roll, and then throw it. And then if you do experience any torque roll, it's not as bad. And I'm just mentioning that because I know a lot of people, torque roll, and it's real. I know that for the longest time I did wingtip launches, and it seemed like the very first priority, as soon as the plane left my hand, was to get on that aileron to correct for the torque roll. You know, a lot of people are running 8, 9, 10-inch props. Those things are going to roll. If you're running a high kV, smaller prop, they tend to not roll so much. But that's just one of those things that you're going to experience. If you're prepared for it, you'll be fine. If not, it'll scare you. But be prepared. I mean, like Adam said, 1 out of 20 launches, once you're good, you're going to have a failed launch probably that 1 out of 20 times. If you're not good, you may fail 2 out of 10. You know, wings are durable. That's another cool thing about them. But a failed launch, don't let it get down. Don't let it get you down. I do it all the time where I toss a plane. You know, it's beautiful. I'm so proud of it, and I just lawn dart it, and it goes cartwheeling across the ground. You know, it sucks, but it happens, and it happens far less the better you get at tossing.
Yeah, but it still happens.
Yeah, it still does.
I've done it. I've stripped servos like on the first toss and had to go home. It's one of those things. The next question that we had was
real quick. Hey, hang on. No. Yeah, one thing real quick. Once you start building wings and loving wings, as Adam and I do, and you have 3 or 4 of them in operation at a time, you'll do things like leave your remote set or your radio set to wing A when you're throwing wing B. That's another thing that'll lead to a failed launch. Or you leave it set on multi-rotor. Yeah. Yeah. So,
have it set on multi-rotor and give her a toss. Or if you have a GPS system in it, have home set to a whole different part of the province or state.
If it's coming to my home and not your home, yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing we had questions on was the filling with foam, the expanding foam in the Dollar Tree foam board wings. We've had a lot of questions. Shane's done a how-to video on YouTube. We're not going to go through the whole deal. We're just going to give you guys some tips on it. We're not going to say how to do it because, like I said, Shane's already done a full tutorial. We're just going to go through some additional things that might have been missed in the tutorial, or just highlight some issues just to kind of to highlight their importance. The first thing that everyone asks is, what is the foam that we use in U.S. and Canada? It's this stuff here. This is called Great Stuff, right? Yeah, Great Stuff, and it's the red can. It comes in black, comes in blue, comes in red. The red can is the stuff you want to use. The black can overexpands. Shane's pops some wings with the black stuff. And
if you want your wing a little bit extra bootylicious, get the black can.
Yeah. The blue stuff doesn't expand enough, so the red stuff is perfect. We know down under you guys don't get the stuff here. One of our followers, he actually found SKT73 on Instagram. Look him up. He has the equivalent for you guys in the southern hemisphere on what foam to use. So what we'll do is we might link that below in this video here in the show.
Some love.
Yeah. So and then Go ahead, Shane.
No, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Oh no, that's it.
Okay. So
get the good stuff. Get the great stuff. That's the stuff you want.
Get Great Stuff in the red can. Like Adam said, black can doesn't work out so well. Blue can's not going to work out well enough. In the U.S., we have a generic version that I've seen at Walmart, which Adam, you have used, and it worked fine. In my area,
it took a little bit. It didn't expand as fast. It took a little bit longer to dry. I found that a lot of the in some of the wings they'll had a lot longer sections, a lot longer runs with less ventilation. it didn't dry completely on the inner side compared to the other stuff.
Okay.
But it did work, and it's over there? What is it? $3 cheaper a can for you guys?
Oh no, actually here, see the reason why I use the great stuff is because, and this is just taking Walmart an example. Walmart sells the red can great stuff for $2.99, and they sell the generic stuff for like $2.97. So for the 2 pennies, it's not a question.
Yeah.
I just wanted to highlight that because Adam has used it and says it works, pretty good. So if there is a large difference, then you may want to go with that. I mean, that's part of the greatness of this hobby is that we're building this stuff and we're making something fly for a few dollars. So
I know here in Canada it's $8, $7 or $8 for the red stuff. For the generic, I think it's $6.70 or something like that. So it is a few dollars different here in Canada. So if you do want to make it cheap, small airplanes it works fine. Larger builds not so good.
But the checkout girl at the Walmart in Canada has more teeth than the one here because they've got health insurance with that extra $4 a can.
Exactly. That's it. It's an extra $4 goes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tip number one, buy the right kind of foam. Tip number two, watch my video. Adam's found some things wrong with it. I've changed some stuff in the time that I did it between then and now. So we're going to kind of clarify that stuff, but still, watch that video. It gives you an idea of what's involved. A lot of people are scared to try it. It's not difficult. I don't think I've ever had a complete failure doing it. I've had it not go as well as I wanted to or that kind of thing. But the reason why you want to fill the plane with foam, and there's also varying camps on that. Adam fills from the wings far forward, the leading edge of the plane. I crash more, I guess, so I fill the entire plane. And so, one of the common problems with a Versa wing, you crash it, the motor mount rips off and goes tumbling around, or like tears a hole in your wing or whatever. If the rear section of that wing is foamed, that's going to happen a whole lot less. It will exponentially increase the durability of your Versa wing. I've hit fence posts, backstops, my stepson, my neighbor's trees, houses, fence. I mean, I've hit it all.
Yeah.
I even crashed a plane in the left turn lane of a major intersection, nose in, full throttle. Had a radio brownout, and you know what? I went out in the middle of the street, grabbed my plane, and went back and flew it again. So it makes the plane very durable.
Yeah, and I can testify to that because all I do is fly in the woods with my wings, and hit trees and hit rocks and bushes, and
Exactly.
I mean, for the most part, you pick it up. It's a spongy consistency on the inside of the wing, so for the most part, if you do get a dent, it'll actually, if you wait a few minutes, it will swell back out and kind of push that dent back out. It truly does make your wing a whole crap ton stronger. I mean, I've seen Shane's videos where he noses the plane in, it bounces 15 feet high, and he goes and picks it up and throws it again. I mean, it's unbelievable, and people can say it's heavy all they want, and they can say that it's not as good as EPP, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to be flying a $200 EPP airframe through the woods, but I'll fly a Dollar Tree foam board expanding foam wing anywhere. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've decided that you want to fill it. You've watched the video. You have the right type of foam. You go and you put some gloves on because that stuff doesn't come off your hands.
It actually says right on the top of the can. It says always. Let's see here. Let's see.
Yeah,
Always
I don't
wear
read foaming.
gloves
I think
and protective eyewear.
I think I probably filled uh, 20 to 25 wings with foam before I realized that they had put that there for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, this stuff is so sticky and it sticks everywhere. It sticks to everything. Don't do it on carpet. Don't do it in your house. If you do it in your house, lay down garbage bags everywhere. Um, it doesn't just go where you're spraying it sometimes, especially if you're spraying it into a closed cavity. It's pressurized. It kind of sprays back sometimes. Don't wear good clothes. Wear gloves. Wear eye protection because, like I say, it squirts and it's super sticky. Um, and just do it. I mean, it's like Shane said. He's never had a wing that he's done it fail. I've never had a wing that's. I mean, even the very first one I did had voids all through it, and I didn't get, this stuff is where I should, and certain parts were over swollen because I sprayed extra when it was done, and it flew fine. And I mean, I hadn't had a problem with it, and it took me the longest time to agree to do it because I thought it'd be super heavy. And the first Versa wing I did, it only put on I think 40 extra grams or something like that. So it's really not that heavy, and for what you get out of it, it's definitely worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you totally forgot where I was going to go with that. But yeah, you want to you fill it up, and it'll make all the difference in the world. It makes it a whole lot more rigid plane. It makes them even just feel different. So one thing that Adam brought up yesterday, um, well, one thing before that, and I don't know if I mentioned in the video, but I think Adam figured it out. When you fill the plane with foam, take it to a light source. I used my sliding glass door back here with the sun shining through it, and I put that light source directly behind the plane and look for because the foam will give kind of a yellow tint underneath the white. You can't see it without the light shining through it, so it doesn't make your plane ugly if you want it to be white or whatever. But just make sure that the foam is coming all the way out to your glue joints. And if it does, you're good. And if it doesn't, don't panic because sometimes you may end up with a void somewhere. The the plane is still going to be a lot stronger than if it didn't have the foam in it. So just give it a good check out. Now, if you've done like I say in the video and you've cut some reliefs, and I think Adam takes it even a little bit further, and I'll let him discuss that. But if you've cut some reliefs and you find a void somewhere, you can kind of work that tube in there and try to fill the void if you're really concerned about it. Personally, I don't worry about them too much unless it's ridiculously big. But if you follow the directions of the video, they won't be big. So, Adam, what do you do when you do
So
it?
I find every so 14 inches is about the max that the foam can dry to. If over 14 inches, and if you don't have any void or any kind of exhaust and a place to get a ventilation more or less to get some fresh air and to actually help the cure. It won't cure. It will stay in its liquid form. And then if you crash the wing later, the inside still may be liquid, still be sealed, and then it might expand after the.
Then your wing gets this big goiter-looking thing.
Yeah. So what I do is every 14 inches, I'll cut an opening, a ventilation kind of opening. Just cut a square window out. It can be an inch by an inch. Keep that square that you've cut out, and because you'll replace it over that hole when it's all said and done. Every 14 inches, just to get that air in. Also, what I do is after it's cured overnight, I'll take a very thin, either push rod or barbecue skewer, and I'll poke holes through the top skin of the wing. And those little holes, when you pull the push rod out or pull the skewer out, if there's a tacky fluid on the barbecue skewer, you know that all that foam hasn't hardened on the inside. So what you can do is continue poking some of those holes around to help air get in there. Usually after a while it doesn't expand as much as it does when it's fresh out of the can, so you don't have to worry about it overexpanding it and popping the wing. You just want to get it dry. As it dries out, it removes some of the moisture out of it. It gets lighter. It gets stronger, and it just makes it completes the job of what you wanted when you initially set out to put foam in the wing. So that was just that's my little trick.
Yeah, cool. Another thing that we talked about that Adam and I talked about this yesterday, and I totally missed it and didn't talk about it in the video, but it's something that I do with 110% of my planes, is I laminate my planes with packing tape. Okay, so as you can see there, I use this Scotch moving and storage, long-lasting. The orange label right here is what's important to me. I use this on my clear stuff, and I use duct tape on like the leading edges or wherever I want to put color. The reason why I use duct tape is because it's not necessarily cheap, but it's super readily available. They got a big display at Walmart, whatever. I'm not going to use a whole lot of it, and so I'll use the duct tape. They've also got some of these faux finishes like the carbon fiber. They've got I put the graffiti wing away. Some cool patterns and that kind of stuff. So I'll put the duct tape down, and then I will go over that even with the clear packing tape, because it gives it a really nice, cool shine that kind of gives you a product that looks like you might have bought it. And so that's what I do, and I've been doing since the beginning of time, really. But I didn't realize that it was really important what Adam said yesterday in a conversation that we had, where if the expanding foam expands out and actually gets on your plane, and you haven't taped it, you're going to have a bad day, because that foam, part of the reason why you want to use it and why it's so awesome is because it's incredibly sticky, right? It's going to expand inside these cavities, and it's going to just brace and hold everything, and it sticks inside there. And so if it gets out and touches the paper on your Dollar Tree foam board, that foam is going to take the paper off. So if you have your plane laminated with packing tape, or there's Adam uses the stuff from Hobby King, the colored tape. There's Tape Brothers. There's all kinds of different places where you can get the tape. If your plane is taped, the foam blobs from the expanding foam just tear completely off.
It's like Teflon, yeah.
Yeah, they don't leave marks. They don't do anything that's going to make you mad. You just pull them off. So if you're not a tape person, you probably should avoid filling your plane with foam, or you should be really careful to make sure that the foam isn't going to touch the paper on your airplane.
If you're not a tape person, you can just tape around, put tape temporarily around the hole where it expands, and then just once it expands, you can crack the blob off, remove the tape. It just helps with the filling process. It makes it easy to clean up a lot easier. It just makes it all together an easier, cleaner build. That's for sure.
You're foaming the plane because you want it to be more durable, and laminating the plane with tape also makes the plane more durable. If I land that and I skip it across a puddle in a parking lot, no big deal. If I did that with Dollar Tree foam with no kind of lamination or Minwax or anything, the plane would be in a couple pieces by the time I got home. So it's definitely a good idea, I think, to laminate it with some sort of tape. Anyways, but like Adam said, if you're not a tape guy, maybe tape the exposed edges where you expect the foam might fill out. So
that was pretty much it for the tips on the foam filling. So number one, the red can of foam, great stuff, is the name. It's at Walmart. Number two, wear gloves. Don't do it in your house or on carpet or on your wife's kitchen table. Tape your plane first.
Heather's right here, dude. That's where I foam my planes. Put up garbage bags.
Yeah, you gotta put on the garbage bags. I do mine in my house. I just put garbage bags down.
Do as I say, not.
Um, yeah. Yeah. So gloves. Put garbage bags down when you do it. Have enough vent holes for the air to get in to cure all the foam. And if you can tape
You
before,
can be
put
creative.
on
You can be
before.
creative with those too. I mean, you don't necessarily have to cut uh, just a plain ventilation hole every
Yeah,
14 inches. You may have your video transmitters going to be,
exactly.
on your out on this wing, and your radio receiver is going to be out on this one. I'll do that all the
Guys,
time. I'll cut that
yeah,
section
exactly.
out.
Battery slot, your receiver slots, your
Yeah.
motor cutouts, all those are all. The key is just to have a void every 14 inches if you can. Um, so like your servo holes, you can if you pre-cut your servo holes in, those will be at the center of the wing to help get air in there. Your motor mount, your battery cutouts, your servo cutouts, just to keep some air in there and help cure all the foam.
Sharpoo just followed me.
Nice.
Crazy. It's like you knew we were
Insta
talking
famous.
about it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. We're coming up onto an hour here. Actually, we're past an hour.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the plans real quick. We have 3 sets of plans that we're going to release hopefully in the near future. One is your plane, Shane there. That will be released at 250 followers on Instagram. So follow us, your friends to follow us. If you want these plans, they're coming out at 250 followers, so you're going to have to get some people and show some love, sharing, caring.
This is a plane. Y'all saw it glide. It glides like a beast. It's awesome looking when it's not demolished. This is from a lot of testing, but we'll be releasing these planes at 250. You said?
Yeah, 250. We originally said 200, but we're going to have to push it to 250 just for some. We had some time problems. So I've been trying to keep it a finished model for you guys to make it something that is. I mean, you'll really like us the way that we want it to fly. At 300 followers, the coming out. That is a strict proximity flying wing for you guys. There's been a lot of interest on Instagram, not just for that wing, but for the center wing pod, the Coroplast center wing pod for that. Then after that, at 400 followers, we will be releasing plans for this big guy right here. And that is a big stagger style flying wing. The plans are done for that. It does fly. It flies really well. This is actually the second one I've built. I've built one before, which you can see on our page there, the orange monster or the purple monster. Yeah, so we have plans coming for you guys. Get out there, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of these videos. If you like these videos, questions, comments, everything down below in the questions and comments space there on YouTube. Join the forum, be active on the forum, win some points. We're going to be opening the store soon with product, swagger, decals. There it is.
Or decals.
Shirts, all that stuff. Yeah, decals, stickers, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it's all coming out for you guys. The forum, like we said, is out. There's already people posting on it. There's already build logs on it. There's already people sharing some really cool stuff on it. So make sure you guys join in. Not just for that. Join in for the tools. Join in for the forum. Join the community. That's all it is. It's a big community. Not one person knows everything about this hobby, but all together we know everything as a group. So you'll learn something from somebody every day. You'll learn something different from somebody new. Someone always knows something that you don't. So we're going to try to share that. And we're going to try to capitalize on that. So join in, have some fun.
Cool. Anything else?
I think that's it. I think hopefully this one actually saves and. You're not doing a third one.
Yeah, so there are a couple questions that you may think, there's a couple of them that I'm thinking of right now that were asked that we didn't cover in this, and we don't want to empty the entire gun at once. We want stuff to talk about next time. So the question that I'm thinking of specifically was a question that I don't think was real time sensitive. The person wasn't in the middle of a build, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. But that way we have stuff to talk about later. But if you have a question, get it in front of us on the forum, and we'll prioritize and try to answer everything that we can. So.
And this is also the first one too. So we were kind of doing an entry, telling you guys about the site, telling you guys about what's going on, kind of an up to date of what has been going on behind the scenes. Not all of them are going to be like this. There'll be more that are way more information, interview, and question based than this. We try to keep them. We're going to try to keep them an hour. This one's is about almost an hour and a half now.
Okay.
So we're going to try to end it, but yeah, this one's a little long. We tried to get a few questions in. We definitely didn't get all the ones we wanted to get in. We ended up just running out of time. So if you guys like it, like we say, hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook. We have a page. Follow us on Instagram. Like our stuff on Instagram. And tag us at WingnutsRC, hashtag WingnutsRC. We reshare you guys' photos if they're nice photos. We reshare your builds if you guys have some really cool builds out there. So don't be afraid. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, it's 11:15 p.m. here, and as you can tell, I'm sleepy, and so I'm going to go to bed. Have a good night, Adam.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Bye-bye.